Hey everybody, this is Eric with Real Time Podcast.
And this is Boyce with Real Time Podcast. For the show this evening, we're going to be taking over the reins since our friend Eric Dixon, he's got some stuff to catch up on. And so this here is a two-man show. So welcome aboard. What have you been up to, Eric, this week?
I've just been getting the lay of the land and enjoying these steady stream of new games and just trying to stay on top of my own video projects, and I'm still working on those, but I'm excited to move forward with my cast and my crew. That's going to be a pretty busy year for me.
That project of yours, it's The Void, right? The long-awaited
Yes.
continuation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been working hard on that with my people, and it's just the what you could expect of the life obstacles, but I have filmed some of it, and I'm a little bit closer to finishing it. And once it's here, I'm going to be really happy to share with you and everyone else.
Well, hey, I won't lie when I say that I'll be among those who are happy to see it come to fruition, especially with just how great it was, just that gradual build up for the first two episodes you brought up.
Yes, yes, yes. It was definitely it was a lot been building off for me. It's really I want to be like into the writing part, so as long as I can build off that, I think that it can be memorable or something like that. That's what I want more than anything.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, if you ask me, any project, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how far in between other projects, like it's a time capsule in a way. It's a testament to your creativity, your vision, your passion. And so, really, I'm happy that you get to create something like that.
Thank you, boys. I really appreciate it, man. It's always good to hear positive output,
Hey,
because it really is a challenge for us artists, but you know how it is.
all too well. What have you been playing this week, if anything?
I'm still trying to finish up Neo 2. I've kind of had to take my eye off of um Blasphemous just because I had to go with what's really got that gameplay combat loop that's really just satisfying, and I really just I really think that there's going to be a resurfacing of these kind of games with this kind of combat. It's just kind of, I don't know, nostalgic, very, I don't know. It's got a nice feel to it. And I've been trying to get through Sekiro on my Steam Deck. I played a little bit of Dark Souls just to look at it, but I think I might have to just fully switch over to like Hyper Light Drifter because the mechanics are too similar and they're different in all the wrong ways between Neo and FromSoft games like Sekiro and Soft. You know how it's the triggers for combat, and you have your sprinting is your circle button, and Neo it's actually X, and circles for picking up items. So that can definitely mistake has definitely caused me to die on Sekiro because I got to retrain my brain, and it's just like one of those things. But I'm really impressed with Sekiro's um bosses and the overall amount. They're just like it's pretty insane, and it is pretty difficult. But it's I mean these kind of games are definitely this might be my favorite genre if I'm being honest. If I think about it, because it's been a while since I felt that that feeling of like relief when you beat a boss, and I think that this is the closest thing for you and everybody who's listening. They want to recapture that feeling of beating a boss that they had as a kid, because I feel like the first boss that you fight, this is before you know that bosses, there's like a tier list, right? Or there's this amount that are difficult, and then this boss is actually super easy, and it's like you just get kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for, Boyce?
Hmm.
Exposed over, yeah, you get over to the world, you used to it, and you want, I don't know, it's just like hard to, but these games don't hold back as you've played Elden Ring, so you definitely, I feel like you're pretty well acquainted with that feeling of frustration, and then you feel like, oh man.
Most definitely. I mean, like one notable one was in Bloodborne. Like, I think it was the blood-starved beast that I had to face early on. And the funny thing is that all this time I was using like regular weapons like Molotovs, my blade, and just quick lunges plus my ally to try and take it down. And I would get beat every time, and I'd want to throw my controller out the window. And then I decided to, unfortunately, well, unfortunate for me, take the easy way out and look online. And I saw that you could throw jars of blood, I think it was, to kind of make it throw, like to force the beast to run in another direction. And it's like two things ran through my mind at that moment. Like, one was, gosh, that was such a great piece of world building. And two, okay, I never would have guessed that in maybe like a couple of years. And I really had to go to online to a strategy guide just to find that out. And it's like, just how much of that, like, can you be faulted for cheating or taking the easy way out? And how much of that, like, could you actually just educate yourself on the game mechanics to work towards that goal? But still, so
That
memorable.
really, yeah, it really is. And that makes me just really think about this, like that question being like, what, I don't know, sometimes I just think, because of all these guides that we have, right? Like, how good is this game if I didn't have a guide? Is this actually well designed? How long would I be stuck in this area before I'm able to move on? I think about that a lot, especially like when I was playing the Uncharted games, like the puzzles. If you're able to think that long, that's good. But not just these games on in the conversation, just thinking about that. But I really do feel like they do a good job, because there's always going to be someone that misses something. But the Elden Ring games really do. I think that these kind of that whole thing with remnants of other people, like their ghosts and stuff, I thought that was really smart. Just the implementation, because you like like you're lost, and you see, like, someone else can leave a message for you to help point you in the right direction. I thought that was pretty smart. And I mean, they can kill you too, right? Yeah. But just having that, that amount of, like, not, it's not really force. It's a very, very smooth, very subtle, like, introduction to co-op or play, in a way that it makes me want to engage, because sometimes I know Hell Irish is out, and that's gotten a big, gratefully, thankfully so, a big shout out in our in our, like, our feeds and whatnot. And I think that besides that, we don't really think of co-op anymore like this huge thing. And I think that, sure, Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights, they did damage, but I think that there's always been a desire for co-op, and I think that the way that it's being done here is really well, really great. I just think sometimes, I don't know if you can play together at the same time to fight someone, but that's always hard to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I look forward to their next big game. That I don't know when that will be. I know Elden Ring's coming up a couple days before my birthday or Erdtree, but I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Honestly, whatever they put out, you already just know. You'll probably, if you
Yeah,
can force yourself to, just be there day one.
yeah. I think that I might be one of those people. Just besides all other things, just having access to their these games, it definitely is definitely making me think about what games I think this will be one of those games of the that for me a game of the year contender. This DLC, this is one of those things I don't want to look up online. I don't want to be spoiled for me because I played Elden Ring after the fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Playing all these games after the fact, so this for me is going to be like like a first time experience. Going through it the same time as everybody else because I don't want to I don't want a 1, 2, 3 step guide. I want to have to look and I want to feel like I'm solving the puzzle, but I want to experience it like on my own. And I think that this is the closest thing. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, the last thing like this was two things really consecutive order of Breath of the Wild and Fallout 4. I think those two really made me excited, really excited to be a gamer. Reminded me of that excitement of why I'm invested in this, hobby, right? As
Mm-hmm.
expensive as it can be. It's definitely it's well worth the payoff, man. I'm definitely hyped for what this Fallout show has done for, Fallout and for, that open world, RPG that I can get lost in, So I'm glad for these FromSoft games, definitely, because
Absolutely.
there's definitely been a while since we've had these kind of games, and you need like these companies like FromSoft and smaller companies like Arrowhead. I don't know if they're small anymore, but to humble these bigger faces like Capcom and Bethesda, you know, Bethesda they get it right for the most part, right? They have my favorite franchise, so it's important that they remember that they still have fans that are expecting good quality,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want Starfield. We don't want another Starfield, right? So yeah, yeah. Fallout 4, I think in the eyes of purists, and I wouldn't consider myself to be that level. I would consider myself above a regular fan because I do think that Fallout is. I've been a fan of them since like New Vegas was. I played it on PS3, and so I've been a fan since for a minute. So I know there's tiers to every fan community. And they can get toxic, which I don't think. I don't think Fallout is too notorious, but I'm not one of those, and I don't. I definitely do not appreciate those kind of people that are toxic like that about, oh man, you're not enough of one. I do think that every Fallout has introduced something that you can appreciate,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I really do like New Vegas, and I do think that the old ones are dated, but I do think that I do sometimes. I don't know if I'm worried is the right word. I am a little worried, because Starfield was such a 50-50, and a Bethesda game should never be like a 50-50. It's like it's got to be like at least an 85, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least like a 90, because Ubisoft is like an 80 now, let's be real, or 75 guaranteed game, but Bethesda is not supposed to be that. And this whole thing, this whole, pointing us towards this whole it was bad, not terrible, but it wasn't pleasant to be, a fan or part of this community with this whole what's it called, the Bethesda workshops and the pushing the settlement building, you know.
Hmm.
But I think that I'm pretty sure that Elder Scrolls is going to be a banger no matter what, right? These games are going to sell crazy no matter what, but I do think that this I'll just say, less than success with Starfield
Hmm.
will most likely lead to a much better Fallout 5.
For sure. And like the way I'm kind of approaching it, I mean, like I think I've told you this for years now, how I feel about
Yes.
Ubisoft games. I kind of almost
Yes.
view them as like the Adam Sandler of like the gaming community, only because it's like where you like there's a bit of good in their like in their resume and there's a bit of bad, but either way,
Yeah.
once you pick up one of their games, you kind of already know what you're getting, what you're expecting it to get into. Like
Yeah.
it, and sadly, it's kind of affected my viewpoint where it's like if I see them debuting an original IP and they debut the gameplay, I always try to look for something like that they've made before just to compare it to. Like for
Mhm.
instance, if I see something like gosh, like Star Wars Outlaws, for instance, like when
Mhm.
that gameplay first started, the first thing my mind went to was Watch Dogs. And even with
Oh yeah.
Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, my first thought was Avatar copy and paste Far Cry. And I mean, I've yet to even dive deeply into the Avatar game, but I mean, everything I'm hearing from everyone else, it's good. It's a sleeper hit. And that's all
Yeah.
because people just knew what to expect. And
Yeah. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with Bethesda, I'll admit that I was on the Starfield hype train like for months prior to release, and I even told myself, okay, this is going to be the game that actually feels next gen. That this is the game to blow all the other games out of the water. And of course, it did not deliver on that in the slightest, even though I was able to kill some time from it when I first started playing it. And going
Mhm.
forward from that, I kind of really just take the advice of Kratos: keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. And in some cases, you might even be surprised in the best way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why those people were so satisfied with Avatar, because we've gotten to a point now where Ubisoft has, made clear what kind of company they are, for better or worse, and that's a good thing or a bad thing as a consumer. You take it or leave it. And I understand. I definitely am at a time right now where I really appreciate gameplay loops as opposed to these other things like the story, or just like the smoother presentation kind of things, like the menu, is it not give me an aneurysm to look at it. But I don't really have, I don't have that issue with most games, and I really do like having those checklist things. But you need those kind of games sometimes, man, because sometimes you just, you already have enough in your life. You need to be more, shaken up or traumatized from The Last of Us, or Red Dead. But I mean, man, you get a good run on Dead Cells, or I still play Call of Duty. I still really enjoy Call of Duty, man. I'll be honest with you. I'll just listen to podcasts and just turn off my brain. I've heard that Rise of Ronin's a perfect game for that too, and I'm definitely looking forward to when, if fingers crossed, that's on PS Plus. If it's not, then it's going to be $30 in a couple more months. So, but I think that Ubisoft they do have a chance to maybe change the perception, because I do understand that people don't people really want this game to be a 9. You know, they're asking Ubisoft for 9, and they don't. Because if this game is an 8, that means it was really good, but it was really good with filler, you know. And I just feel like even an 8 is an ask, right? Even as I say it, which it shouldn't be, but it's Star Wars. This is their first Star Wars, right? Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
So that is crazy to me. And I know that they've had the rights to make this game for years. You know, back when, I don't know if Amy Hennig, is she's still tied to this, right? Or is she not? She's not anymore, right?
Yeah, I think she's kind of shifted more gears towards 1943 with Cap and Black
That's
Panther.
that's what I'm saying, because I feel like I hear her name associated with that more than she was originally on this. And this was like originally after 1313 failed, they were talking about this game. This is an evolution of that. For if you don't know that, now you know. I mean, I feel like that could be kind of understood just by the name of the game, right? And like the trailer and just like the context,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's very obvious that you're an outlaw. So 1313, you're playing a bounty hunter outlaw, and this is an evolution. I like the character. I was listening to, I don't know if it was Kind of Funny. I think it was. They said she looked like April O'Neil from Major Trails. She kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely, like, I think that what made me go, this is an adventure, fun game, beyond good and evil. I know we're in the text talking about how it was this kind of game or this kind of game, but it really was more, I think, intentional for them to make her as playful, because they could just as easily have put V in from Cyberpunk, and I'd be like, this is GTA Star Wars. So I know that this is GTA Star Wars for us, right, in our minds, so we're all thinking, right? But I think for them, I think it's, if anything, just a funny observation, because, you know, Disney's still making Star Wars, right? So you can't have it be too gritty. It does look fun. The villains look gritty, but the overall energy is not gritty. It's very fun adventure in space and Uncharted in space. And I definitely think that it's going to be a game that I play a lot, and I do think it's going to be a lot of fun, you know. But I'm a Star Wars head, you know. Yeah.
When I was watching the trailer, what I thought they did so well was just nail the visual tone of Star Wars media. Just it has that pulpy feel to it, that space opera vibe, and you have those dashes of humor. And
Mhm.
honestly, I feel like Ubisoft has nailed it, and I don't want to say it's an easy tone to nail, just because when you don't nail it, the fans will let you know that you didn't nail it. And and really, I feel like when the people look to that trailer, to the gameplay, everything, like really, hardcore gamers are just going to think this is Ubisoft. This is their hand at trying an IP. Well, a well-known IP compared to Avatar. And what really had surprised me when I was rewatching the trailer earlier today was just to go to scroll through the comments and learn just that it apparently has more dislikes than likes on YouTube.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and most of those comments, I won't say that they're based towards the content of like the story or anything like that. Not even for the main character, but I mean, people nitpick about anything. But it's more so the fact that they feel that they're paying $70 for an incomplete game.
Oh, this is because of the microtransactions, right? The $100 version that they're trying to release.
Yeah.
I've heard about, yeah, well, the pre-orders. I saw them, and honestly, I feel like it's a little. I don't know. I don't know how to feel, because it's Ubisoft. Of course they're gonna throw their DLC, but it depends on what we're being locked off and how big it is. How it's going to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
But I do. I don't. I don't like. I never like. I don't think that I don't like how they're releasing that. But it's not anything different from what Bethesda did with Fallout 4, what they had a season pass. But it was cheaper. Sure, it's like $25 season pass. So I do think that it really depends on what they're locking behind this. If they're just missions, that I can YouTube, that's fine. But if it's like mechanics or modes, even just like if it's a chunky story DLC, it really has to sell its first. And I don't really think much about that. I think it's sure we don't want to deal with it, but it's Ubisoft. I just want the game to be good. If the game is good, then it warrants further purchases, right? It deserves more of my money, I feel. But if it's not, then yeah, it's a slap to the face. Is it kind of bold or kind of risky? I do think so, because they're Ubisoft and they know that we were going to be like this, that we were going to make this have these kind of reactions. But do they care? Well, they just told us with this that they don't. So, but there's two sides to it. There's going to be people. I know there's people that are working on this game that want it to work, and Ubisoft wants our continued money. So I really don't think they're going to let this game, be anything below like a B plus.
Mm-hmm. And as the saying,
and I think
oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, for Star Wars fans, that's like an A, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have Survivor and stuff, those games are really good. So yeah, they better bring it. Yeah.
And really, I mean, as the saying goes, scared money don't make money. And I mean, they're testing that all the way as much as they can. And even
Yes.
then,
Yeah.
like Outlaws itself, I mean, it's such a rarity. I mean, like most of the Star Wars games that are even on current gen consoles, like the ones you play at home, like PS5 or Xbox, it's either going to be the Jedi series, Survivor, and Fallen Order, where you go through like that Sekiro stream of combat. And the others are Lego Star Wars, which is fun for all ages, whether it be nostalgia or to entertain the kids of today. And then you even have, gosh, Star Wars Battlefront. Well, the new Battlefront, which is good for the co-op and everything, and even Squadrons for its flight combat. So Outlaws, it feels like a gift more than anything. And really,
Yeah.
I mean, people have the right to be excited about that, but also skeptical about that. And if really, I mean, I can't say right now if I'd get it day one. I mean, who knows? I might get it day one just because it could be a birthday gift to me since it comes out 3 days after my birthday. But I mean, I'm curious yet cautious.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I definitely think that it's a packed year, but this is going to be top 3 for me. We have yet to see what else was coming out, but this one's coming for fact. So,
how would you feel about free DLC, but only 8 years after the fact?
I do feel like that is quite a move for a developer to do that. I know that you really are passionate about your game if you're going to do that. So props to this next one. Yeah, I know what you're going with, Boyce.
Boy, Ratchet and Clank. And this one was for a pre-order bonus. So back when the game had been released back in 2015 for an exclusive weapon that you could only get if you pre-ordered the game. And well, it was meant to come out.
It's quite a doozy, this game.
Yeah. Only a few years later, just to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Ratchet and Clank franchise. But due to rights issues and whatnot, it never came to fruition. But only now, after 8 years, have we finally gotten this free weapon DLC.
Yep. And it's honestly one of those things that makes me want to go back and play this game. I didn't even finish it the first time around. I played through a little bit of it, but the graphics were really cool. The gameplay was definitely a lot of fun. But, I had other games to play. But, 8 years, and is it PS5 compatible?
Oh, yeah, it has the PS5 update from what I heard, 60 FPS.
Wow, then maybe I need to go put it on and give it a go, man. Try that DualSense out.
And yeah, it's like, I mean, Ratchet and Clank as a franchise, it's just so beloved. And even something as little as just a free pre order weapon after 8 years, I mean, that's love. I mean, it's really love. And even then, it didn't make or break the game at all, whether you had it or not. And really, it feels more like a gift to the fans more than anything. So if you ask me, if someone were to pose the question to me, if did Insomniac do fans dirty with holding back on that for 8 years, I'd say no, not at all.
Yep. Yeah, they didn't. And honestly, it's just good to see that they keep on trying to and getting these W's, and they keep trying, because you hear about these other companies, and sometimes, there's a big grind here. I know what we say about Capcom, but their workers, they work, their conditions can be pretty questionable, and they can be tough. But, Insomniac, they're doing something right. So, we got to give props to them and their managers, because, 8 years, how many other games can I think of, man, that have done that? Like, how many games can we really think of? That's insane to me. Arkham Knight, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That game came out around the same time, right?
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it, man. I could not. I had to look at my phone just to be certain, because I thought, man, they might, because they did it for Batman v Superman, but it's been too many years, surely, right? But no, here we are, 10 plus, I don't know, 8 years, 6, how many years, Arkham Knight, and I'm over here thinking, man, is the Batman Part 2 going to get update for Arkham Knight, man? Because I don't know if we're going to get another Arkham. So they're just going to keep adding all the skins to this game. Honestly, maybe we will see another Batman Beyond movie, Boyce.
Honestly, hopefully, because, it's like Arkham Knight, it's probably the most accessible Arkham game at the moment. Sure, like Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, like they're available via the Return to Arkham double pack on PS4. But Arkham Knight, it's got a wider audience, I feel, just because, like, it's the one that's still getting updates. It's still the one that fans are going to equate with current gen. And it's Kevin Conroy's last, most beloved performance in the franchise before Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and it's like the only one that's actually good. Can we add that in there?
Gosh.
I think that we'll get one. I think that it's going to be a while. I probably won't be Arkham related, but the combat will be good. We have this cool controller and cool tech, and only so many games. I was trying out another one of those Souls games. I've been trying out so many of them, Demon's Souls. And let me tell you, man, the feeling of the vibration in that controller is I'm definitely thinking about playing it again tonight because it's definitely an experience.
Hmm. Gosh, Demon Souls, I mean, that was probably the perfect PS5 launch title.
Yeah, talk about how to bring back like an old classic for PlayStation 3. That should be like how honestly that should all the really old like launch titles should get that treatment. Like Xbox should get a Gears 1 remake while they wait for Gears 6. I think that'd be pretty clever, you know. Or Fusion Frenzy, remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
That game was classic on Xbox.
Though, you know what I can really appreciate about the Demon Souls remake, though?
What's that?
That it's a console title that manages to feel complete. Like, you buy it, you're getting the entire game. No DLC, no like extra payments for extra content. You're just getting the fuller game.
Mm,
And
yeah.
in fact, I'd say that this could even be a good segue into something that was in the news recently, don't you think?
Oh yes, I do. I do think so.
Yes, so like the Stellar Blade director, believes that console titles, well, that is single player games with an ending, have a very important value in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, we can't overshadow.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I mean, you and me both, like, we grew up in an era where you could just go to GameStop or EB Games, pick up a game, and that's it. You just have the disc. You pop it in the PS2 or the Xbox, and you just play to your heart's content.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that was a simpler time.
you never had to worry about any updates to the game or having to download this or rights issues, yada yada. All you really needed was your memory card, your controller, and the disc, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. It really does make me long for another complete, game. But we can't have one with the other. Right?
Right.
DLC, right? We have our DLC, and sometimes there was a time when the game came out, and I would just be like, man, I want more of that. Can we get more of that, right? And so these developers like, I know, but we got to save our ideas for the sequel, right? But you know how we are, and with our brains kind of just like, man, we want more, this, that, which is fine. I do think that it means that these kind of things are harder to come by. But
Mhm.
what do you think?
It's like, I mean, I feel like after more than a decade with the era of DLC and microtransactions, I mean, I feel like a DLC, it's a good marketing tool to like reignite interest or hype in a game and everything, but I almost feel like developers just use it too cheaply as a cop out. Like, almost like, hey, we have our money from this initial release. Now, we still need some more money just so we could show you what else we're capable of. And sometimes I feel like it lands, such as in the case of Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes maybe it doesn't, such as in the case of, gosh, I can't even think of a DLC I paid for that even felt worthless. But definitely, whenever they put out their Game of the Year editions with extra DLC included, complete editions, like that's definitely something that can feel very cheap at times. But even then, it's just so frustrating in the era where you have to like fork over $70 for a game. And if that's just that game with no extenuating content that keeps it alive for more than a year, such as with Hogwarts Legacy, like especially, I mean, that can feel
Yeah.
frustrating in itself as well. Like you put down $70, you play the game, and it's just over. Nothing else, nothing more.
It does leave a lot to. I do feel like with especially Sentua's saga coming out later this year, it's been so long development. I think that we can all agree that game's going to be about 8 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that game better have a hell of a loop, because I do think that there is a difference between having such a budget, so much to put out on these things, and it's like, this is pretty to look at, but it's not worth 70. I'm done with this. I'm not going to look at it again. Maybe in a year from now as a replay. But Neo 2, the Neo games I've heard referred to as almost kind of like budget Souls games. But their gameplay, you could argue, is better. Their combat is more solid. There's just so much replay value. And I didn't even have to pay for that. It was on PS Plus. But right now, you can probably get that for $50. That full price, $70, that is completely worth it, right?
Right.
Those kind of experiences, like Helldivers 2, these are experiences that can continue to provide us something. So I do think there needs to be a tier. And I think that there is a tier list. But I do think that when a game comes out like Senua that is $70, I don't know if that's the price. You can correct me. But I would feel like there needs to be something that on $70 is already questionable to me.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like when it comes to inflation and video games, that's an iffy subject for me, because I don't see how they translate. I feel like sometimes, I'm sure, yes, there's a way that the cost translate to justify the new, but I do feel like art is one of those mediums where it's not like, oh, inflation, like, yes, that makes sense. It's like, no, these are like artistic, these are creations made by different groups of people who value it differently so it's just completely different, but it is a thing of, I don't know, we can't, because we wouldn't have this DLC, right? If we didn't, that wouldn't be a thing if we didn't have DLC. If hey man, I want more of this game. Can we get more, please? That wouldn't be a thing if we fully went that route of what you were saying, which I understand, right? Of game feeling complete. Mm-hmm. Because I still feel like we have that. I really felt that way with Fallen Order, the first one. Survivor, I feel like ultimately fell flat. And the combat was fantastic. Everything felt fantastic, but it feels like I'll call God of War 2 syndrome for PlayStation 2, not the new one, right? Yeah. God forbid I say anything about that. But it very much feels like there was a time, especially with the PS2, PS3, where there's the second game is just the game that's made, right? We need a sequel. We'll throw this at them because it's a fun game, but nothing really happens to progress this plot. It just feels like they need the company needs our money, so we gotta make something to, get that money. And I do feel like Survivor had that kind of energy to it, where I'm like, man, if they give it another couple more years, it could be very definitive as a sequel, right? Mm-hmm. It was a God of War 2 as opposed to a Kingdom Hearts 2, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to a Metal Gear Solid 2. So I do feel like having these DLCs can help mitigate that feeling of, man, I just didn't, but also there's still that feeling, right, of even with games that don't ever get DLC, like Jedi, I don't think that this Survivors is going to be the same as the first nothing, right, until the next game, right?
Yeah. And
I just feel like, man, that could have had more to it, but this is what they intended, right? And I listened to those interviews, I listened to those documents, man. And it was like what they intended, which was this experience that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and now it's over. But I mean, how do you feel?
Gosh. Like with Star Wars Jedi, I mean, it felt like a breath of fresh air, really. I mean, you like when they first put out the pre-order details for it. I mean, they let you know from the jump there's no microtransactions, there's nothing of the sort, no extenuating circumstances, just a full, complete story for an at the time standalone game that was really like the Jedi simulator that people have been craving since Jedi Knight Academy. And really, I mean, I feel like I mean, of course, like DLC is a marketing ploy in a way, but some games they just don't even need it. And like for instance, going back to Senua, I mean, the original game Senua Sacrifice. When I first saw that, it was digital released for PlayStation 4 only, and it had the makings of an indie title.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
this next point, of course, I mean, I almost feel like there are certain times where you can have too much of a good thing. I mean,
Yes.
I'm grateful for Hellblade Senua's Saga, and I guess I could. I mean, I'm content with it being an Xbox exclusive this time around, but it's like when you have such an IP that does so well and does so hot, I mean, they're just willing to cherish it and just not go the extra round with it, like with going into movies like Blade Runner in 2049. And then some people they just want to take it around the sun and back, such as with
Yeah.
Mass Effect or
Yeah.
even the Witcher games.
Yeah. So my only hope really is that when it comes to this game, because I do have my own, I don't have an Xbox. I might get this first one if it's ever like really, really, because it's a year backlog for me. You got to save, rent, life stuff. I would like to try it out. I think I would like it, but I think that even these kind of games you never can go wrong with accessibility. And I'm pretty sure Last of Us 2 learned that lesson. They had like an ability to skip through like like having to press the quick time event to do, those kind of things where, just turn off all this extra stuff. I just want to do the encounters, and I really hope that they have something like that because, it's like that meme that I shared and that we've all seen of one that game you like and then that part in the game, and then it shows the guy leaving, I want to be able to be like, hey man, I want to just slice and dice things in this beautiful world, and then I just want to call it for the day. But we'll see. I mean, we still have time, so if someone's listening from Cindua's team, if you want actors, no, I'm playing. We're not actors. We're just here to talk about the game.
Yeah. And even then, like, of course, like, one of the more notable and more, like, popular things that DLC obviously benefited was the Fallout games, especially Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Like,
Yes.
Fallout 3, I mean, that's just a game ripe for DLC. I mean, like, it puts you into that desolate wasteland where once you finish everything, you're obviously going to want for more. And I feel like this was Bethesda taking note of that and implementing it in the right way.
Yeah, and if we get a remake before 4, maybe before 5, then that would be another dream come true.
I mean, we obviously got the TV show now, so they're doing something right with it.
Yeah, and I've absolutely find it to be fantastic. And if there's any notes to go by for the new team or Todd watching this show, unless he's knew everything about the show, then I take back what I say about you, Todd, and the writing. The writing is fantastic, and honestly, it reminds me a lot of like the side quests that you go off and do when you get distracted in those games. But yes, let's talk about Fallout, the TV show.
You betcha. And in fact, this is good because, it has our boy in the shield from it.
Yes, sir. Our boy, Mr. Walton Goggins.
Yep, playing a gunslinger. Well, a ghoul gunslinger.
Yes, he's playing a ghoul gunslinger, and he's doing a mighty fine job. If you had me, you really have me here with he's at. I don't know why. Maybe it's his star power. There's maybe one scene or two where I'm like, man, I really relate to him. I'm talking about Postal, right? Because they try to explain it, and it does a good job. But still, man, this guy's just—he's not nice, man. He's not a nice guy.
Did
you?
Oh, sorry.
Did you finish it? I just want to ask real quick.
Oh, I finished the second episode today, and I started the third episode, so I'm definitely making my way ASAP. But just from what I've seen so far, I mean, Goggins' character and even Lucy from the Vault and Maximus, I mean, they've all left such a great impression.
Yes, and they're all equally well played. I have my favorites. I'm sure you have yours. But I think ultimately, I agree, they're all well played, and I can't wait to see, the other kind of species that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have a favorite character?
So far, it's probably got to be Lucy. I mean, it's like it's that fish out of water vibe from her, just that comes straight out of the games, Fallout 3 specifically. I mean, it's like she enters into like this dark and murky, unpredictable world, such as it is in the games. And she's just, well, from what I've seen so far, just striving so hard to like hold on to that good altruism, that idealism that was instilled in her in the vault. And just like the game itself, like with its directions and karma paths and whatnot, and morality, and I'm just so curious to see like if she's gonna like stick true to being a good idealistic person in this world, or she'll just learn to succumb and adapt to the roughness of it.
Yeah, and I'm taken with her character. I think that she probably, along with Walton Goggins, gave the best performances. I think she just really reminded me of the bunny from, what's the movie called with she's a cop bunny?
Oh, Zootopia.
Yeah, she reminds me of, she has a lot of that energy, especially in the beginning where she's super nice, and I love the golden rule. We're bringing back the golden rule apparently with this show, but it's such a simple, honestly, that moment is iconic with her. That's her moment where she leaves. I'm going way ahead of myself. I'm sorry. My brain is going.
Hey, okie dokie.
She sticks to that golden rule to the end. You think that, man, this is a moment where, she sticks true to her convictions, and she plays it really well. She's very much that character. I'm not going to let the world, I'm going to keep trying to do my best. And it's really interesting to see that. It's just really interesting to see Vault Dwellers and how they're portrayed, because it's very much a Brady Bunch energy that it just makes perfect sense. Because if you think about it, these characters are all from like the 1950s, and like all of their cultures was made to stop, like halt progress. So all the knowledge they have is what's connected to like all this stuff from the 1950s, right? That's what they have to go on.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have after X amount of years? How are these people going to be? And I think that Chet and what's her name, Stephanie, the two, the ones that stay there, along with Brett's, I think, or not his name. I think his name's Brett, right? The kid, Nico from Hannah Montana.
Oh yeah.
Nico grew up actually really love Nico on this. He's fantastic. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, for
But
sure.
I think that he's the very much the straight man here, and these other characters are super duper wacky, and it's just like it's a treat. It's a real treat to see them and how they behave because I think that they're I don't know if you played New Vegas, but there's a side quest, and it's just pretty very much like it reminded me of this about the politics and how people get about power.
Mm-hmm.
I found it to be really. I'm curious to see where they take everything, because it's one of those things.
Same. And it's like, I mean, the writing team they got behind it is impressive as well. Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. Jonathan's brother, he actually directed The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that's right. I heard about this. I found that to be really interesting that because he apparently wrote the line for The Dark Knight too, where he's like, it's either die a hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
In fact, that line even transfers so well even to Fallout when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is because we can see that with Lucy. Wow, man, that's actually a really good cat. I didn't even think about that.
In fact, like he and his wife Lisa, like they both do such a great job with like creating these morally complex characters in shows like even Person of Interest and Westworld, which is what I couldn't like help but think of when I was watching the second episode, and it came to that special scene with Goggins' character. Like it just reminded me of Westworld immediately.
Yeah, I haven't seen his performance there, and I haven't seen it,
It's
but
like for some reason it almost makes me wonder because I mean I haven't watched Westworld in its entirety, but I do know that it was cut very short after its fourth season, and so it really just makes me wonder if some of the ideas that he might have had for season 5 might seep in or did seep in and make its way into the Fallout series.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? Something with my connection just
Oh,
got out.
oh yeah, for sure. So like I know that because Westworld was cut short after its final season, in fact, it's not even like streaming anywhere at all at the moment. And it really makes me wonder if if they thought that Fallout could in some ways act like a spiritual successor to Westworld, or even use some unused ideas and concepts and implement that into the world of the Fallout show.
Yeah. I think that I got to watch Westworld, but if that's true, man, they're gonna do something right, and it's Fallout, so it's already got a big group of people, to get the support, behind it. So I feel like there's definitely something huge that's could come out from this universe, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if even Fallout 76, as much as I'm indifferent to that game, blows up as a series. You know?
Hmm. Like a part of me was wondering earlier, and I haven't finished season of well the entire season yet, and who knows? I mean, depending on how it ends, it could be a possibility, it could not, but it almost really makes me wonder if they're planning to do it as like an anthology series of sorts, like essentially how every mainline entry is. Like maybe next season you go to Vegas or West Virginia or even New York, like in the Fallout universe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I do think that this series, I don't know, it could go somewhere different, but I do think that Fallout is definitely one of those series where every new game is about a new character.
Gosh, I just had a thought and it slipped my mind. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I just think that Fallout's one of those things where it is true you can have these characters, but I do think that anthology, if anything, 2 seasons and then you switch off every 2 seasons just to give everything the right, just put a bow on everything.
hmm The, I mean, this plus The Last of Us and like the talent they put behind that, and I'll even go as far as to say the Mario movie, which I enjoyed without even having to play a Mario game. I mean, it's kind of giving you hope for video game adaptations, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I do think that there's definitely a renaissance of video game films, and I think that it's gonna it's definitely making me feel better about being a gaming nerd because everyone's finally seeing how great all these different franchises are and just how brilliant they can be and just how many stories that there actually are, and I am excited. I definitely want to thinking about sharing this with my dad.
hmm It, in fact, like something that I really felt proud of, like earlier today, I was chatting with a friend at work, and like I had mentioned the Fallout series, and then another coworker had chimed in and said that their mother was actually watching it, and like
Wow.
yeah, and like I had told them, you should tell your mom to check out the video games, and then they were like, if she's in her 60s, she doesn't play video games. It's so just the fact that even without the prior knowledge of the material of Fallout or The Last of Us, people are still willing to check it out and view it as like this its own thing. I mean, it's introducing fans, and so that's another win.
So yeah, it's yeah, it is, and it's one of my favorites. So their top three. It's up there with Metal Gear Solid and Red Dead. It's just such a great. It means so much to me, and to see it have such a great success from the start.
hmm
It's like, yeah, it's good to see that this franchise getting you know it's in the right hands, and I can only hope the same for Metal Gear Solid if that ever actually ends up happening. And for what's it the Elder Scrolls, or they're not going to do that. Is what they said, right? Yeah.
Honestly, Elder Scrolls, like, I feel like it could be interesting to see, but I just feel like Elder Scrolls just feels so beholden to the world of gaming that if it were to debut as a if like TV show, I mean, and I'm not knocking the originality of it or anything, but so many people, I feel like fantasy TV is just going on and on. Like, you've got Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, and Wheel of Time. It just makes me wonder how could Elder Scrolls stand out from the pack aside from being a video game adaptation.
Yeah, I don't think that it needs to. I don't think it should. There's so much fantasy. Fallout's such a unique thing. You can't just put Fallout in a box. It's very much satirical, post-apocalypse. You can't just Walking Dead. It's all these things, and Elder Scrolls is great, but it's great because it's Game of Thrones as a game, and it's Lord of the Rings as a game. That's the whole point, to take that and make a show to that. I was skeptical, but I ultimately on board last week because I knew exactly why. We all know why. It was that last episode, this last moments where Joel's murdering these people. That's why I tuned in. That's why I think the rest of us tuned in. We knew there's something there worth telling. But Elder Scrolls is the same as Fallout. You can tell any story, but you don't need to because it's just going to be a Game of Thrones with a different coat of paint.
Mm,
But Fallout is Fallout.
amen.
Yes, sir.
Though, gosh, if you had to choose anything you'd want to see an adaptation of next from video games, what would you say?
I'll say the next adaptation I'd like to see is of. I'll be honest, man. I want to see Snake in that stealth suit. I know people are like, Snake doesn't work this. And I'm like, I know, but honestly, maybe it wouldn't be this because Snake in PS5 graphics might be enough for me. Metal Gear Solid 1 specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That might be what I'm really asking for, but I would be curious to see how that translates to, because it still is such a unique and goofy idea when you get down to the brass tacks.
Well, hey, if Death Stranding by A24 is a success, that just might happen.
Yes, yes, it's a success.
In my case, and I mean, I'll probably never stop writing Splinter Cell as one of the most, like, one of those franchises that's just taken for granted so much, but I'd want to see that adaptation come to life. I mean, they've teased it so many times, especially in 2005. Well, in the 2000s with Chaos Theory, including like a announcement or like mini trailer logo reveal for a Splinter Cell movie. And as a kid, I wanted George Clooney to star in it. And of course, that never happened. And then they brought my hopes up again by saying Tom Hardy's going to star in it like in early 2012. And that never came to be. And so Splinter Cell as a franchise is on deadlock at Ubisoft, but one can dream and hope.
Yeah, I definitely hope, man.
Hope never hurts. Though,
Yeah,
and I can think of something that you've been hoping for, well, in terms of like the gaming community. And that
yeah.
is probably a new PlayStation Portable device. And of course, I heard that a modder did a portable PS1. Is that right?
Yeah, the PS1, the buttons. Yeah, that thing looks pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if we can get to selling those instead of just the analog pockets, I think that would be really dope. I think that if we can have those, in record time, like the Super Nintendo, man, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
And I mean, like, it's so funny thinking about it because, I mean, in the 2000s and 2010s, like, you had so many people clamoring for the PSP, the Nintendo DS, or even the Wii U. And, like, you could just take it with you on the go at any time. And then, such as the way, gosh, what's the saying? DJ killed the radio star? That's the saying, right?
Yeah,
I guess you could say, kind of in the same way that DJ killed the radio star, you could say that iPhone killed the portable gaming devices.
it really did, and I'm not in pain against that. I think that I'm excited about it. I'm excited for Resident Evil 4 and what, Outer Worlds might be next, like open world gaming on the iPhone. That's what I'm thinking about. When I see Resident Evil 4 or when I see, Call of Duty Mobile, I'm like, what's next for the OLED? What's next for our battery capacities, right? When can I, get on that? I know we talked about this, but it's something that, keeps coming up when it keeps coming up with the Xbox, and what they're going to do. And I'm pretty sure the NVIDIA was like a Microsoft product, wasn't it? Or was it, I'm thinking about the Logitech cloud gaming portable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, so they've already had their hand. I put my hands on the A and Neo, the Asus ROG. I finally put my hands on that because they have it on Best Buy. So I recommend if you want to, you can put your hands on it if you're really curious. I don't know if you've even touched a Steam Deck, Boyce.
Oh no, but I mean, I've got my eyes on it, especially since I can't play any well, I can barely play any Steam games on my Mac. So I'm definitely looking for that alternative.
Yeah. And the thing is, I love my Steam Deck and the trackpads, but I understand the Rogue. I understand the love for that because I put my hands on it and I'm like, this instantly felt more compact. It feels better. It does in my hands. It's a little smaller. I don't know about the screen. I think it might be a little bit smaller too, but not like that much of a difference. But it doesn't have those trackpads. But the analogs feel a lot more like the ones on an Xbox than the Steam Deck, which is more generic. But it felt very cool, and I'm like, I could easily see these becoming more of the norm. If we could just get that power, make it a little bit more ideal, then I could see that being just as accessible, because the ones on the Steam Deck and the way it feels, it just sometimes playing on it isn't the most ideal. It just feels a little bit, clumsy and a little bit just not, chunky. It's a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for when it comes to like those things like that PlayStation Portable, which is just something that someone made and shared on like Pinterest or Etsy, people are doing that a lot now with these older emulation portables. So it makes me think Analog Pocket, PS1, or like an Analog Pocket that plays those older 3D games, because they haven't aged as well, but there's a certain timelessness to them, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm always going to think about Ape Escape and be like, man, that game is just like one of my first games and I loved it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now there's like this cool thing. So, I mean, like, I think those things are going to be more normalized, but also, have you heard also that the iPhone and emulation, I mean, they're going to open up and allow in the way that Android's been doing for years. I mean, think about the possibilities. I honestly thought about, man, if they actually did that, I would actually think about buying one of those backbones. I don't need a backbone, but like now that I can play more than mobile COD or whatever else they have, I'm pretty sure Fortnite's no longer available because it's too powerful. It's upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
But that also makes me think about what else was really neat. Man, the remote play. I was doing it on my Steam Deck, man. That was cool. And it played almost flawlessly. And I'm just like, yeah, another 10 years, maybe PS4 quality on the iPhone.
It honestly just feels so surreal to me, so funny. Like the possibility of one day you could just walk into GameStop and say, I'd like to pre-order Resident Evil 9 or Resident Evil 4 for the iPhone.
On the App Store, yeah. Can you imagine that? Because that's what it's going to be, right? You're not even going to need to think about, man, maybe Nintendo and Sony need to be worried about Apple. Maybe they've been worrying about the wrong companies, man. These phone companies are the real threat. They're going to come out here with, hey, man, by the way, exclusive news here. You can play Wolverine on the iPhone, When are we going to start hearing about Apple exclusives?
Gosh.
Right?
Half-Life 3 on Apple.
Yeah, wow. They had to sell the rights Gavin had to sell the rights to the Apple people, and who's in charge there now? Who's in now? Tim something? Tim Cook?
In fact, like sometimes it even makes me think of just how would Steve Jobs feel about becoming this giant, reaching into all corners of the techscape, like such as gaming now and e-commerce and all of that.
Yeah. He probably like that. He probably is glad that they're still strong and still on top. And I think he'd be excited about the Vision Pro too, because I feel like he was always an evolutionary, or he was always just thinking about like just what was the coolest thing. He thought about simpler terms, kind of not in a bad way, right? I mean, did you see the film Fassbender? I'm assuming.
Oh gosh,
You,
no, I want to though.
you really should. Boyce is fantastic. Especially since I know you love film, man. It was a really great look into him. It's not like one of those movies that's just trying to idolize who this person was. It really shows like the good, the bad, the ugly.
Uh,
But he did make things happen. You know, he's like, I want this thing to be simpler. You know, and they're like, okay, we'll do it. But you know, the way that he went about it wasn't. It was simplified, but it was like what it needed to be, right?
mm-hmm.
Because it's like you and I, you know, when I'm making my movies, like I think I've told you, the person I value the most is the person who's the least affiliated with this genre, right? When I'm looking for reactions, because they're the most honest, right? They're not going to have any bias. They're going to be completely genuine response, and they're going to be like, wow, or they're going to be like, you know, whatever it is, it's going to, and that will let me know if it's good or bad. So I think in a way that's what he was, but he was an expert at, you know, like getting his ideas across and speaking and like just being the coordinator, much like fire needs, you know, what's the guy? Can't believe I'm forgetting the name. The most simple thing, the conductor, right, with his stick. That's kind of like what he would do. Yeah, yeah. What he was doing was that.
I mean, it's like really, I mean, if you can break new ground where others haven't, and I mean, they essentially decimated BlackBerry with the first iPhone release, and
Oh yeah,
it's like if you can like push yourself forward, such as how they are with gaming. I mean, you're doing something right in my book, at least.
yeah. You can do something with gaming and the future of like technology. Please, by all means. And that only makes me think, man, they're probably going to have that VR update for the Vision Pro, man, for Resident Evil 4.
And that's actually what I'm hoping for.
Wow. That have you tried it on?
Oh yeah, I tried it on months ago, and I'm not gonna lie when I say this, I actually cried.
Really?
It's just like when they showed like the 3D camera and having like a family photo and all that for the demonstration, and it just literally made me think, gosh, someone could actually use this to like relive memories of the youth. And I mean, this is like the kind of thing that I would have envisioned seeing in the Sandler movie Click with the remote. And
Did you see that
just
movie with Hugh Jackman?
uh which one was Remembrance, right?
Yes, yes. Where he goes in the water pod and then he's obsessed with Rebecca Ferguson's character.
Yeah.
It was on HBO like 2 years ago, I think.
Oh yeah, I remember I wrote a review for it.
Wow, you did? I gotta check that out, man. But I thought it out like immediately when I read. I know exactly what you're talking about, the memories. You can like relive your memories. And
Hmm.
I'm like, this. I don't know. This is too much. This is a recipe for disaster. Someone's gonna get like, you know, it's gonna be like, wow, that's scary. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it makes Black Mirror just that more exciting and that more chilling.
I gotta watch that because it's becoming more and more like an actual crime doc.
And though still, I mean, even with all this innovation, like you've got to appreciate just how much we still have like consoles and everything just so we can feel at home while we're at home just playing games on the TV screen.
Yes, yes. You know, we and it's just like I think the one thing that I'm always curious about, and it's kind of silly, but I do think about it,
Hmm.
is how will controllers evolve, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how I feel about back rooms. I don't think anybody really likes having to plug something into their phone. I don't think people like using their phone, you know, because of the battery drainage. But if we're speaking about an ideal future where you could do that and not worry about losing all your battery, how would we have controllers? Because the most convenient, most portable ones I have are my Joy Cons. where these controllers have magnets, where they like magnetize to your device. That's really cool, right? But how would that work? I just think about those things. But I really like controllers. I'm a technology a geek. I don't know much about how they work. I just like them. I like collecting them.
It's like, I mean, growing up the way we did, I mean, myself, like, it is so hard for me to even think of augmenting my controller in any way. I mean, just when I have discovered that the wireless controller with the PS3, I mean, that was enough to blow my mind already as a kid. And
Yeah, it blew my mind too, man. I remember those wires. None of us liked those wires.
even then, just being able to, I mean, I see the appeal of like having your phone as your controller or even attached to your controller, because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much efficiency in a way. You've
Mm-hmm.
like it's providing multiple functions just so you can serve yours all at once.
Right, and we got AirPods now, right? And they used to have wires, right? The headphones used to have wires, and it used to be a mess. But now we have these like magnetic chargers for them. They're really convenient. So I'm like, I feel like tech controllers, they're still a technology that we're trying to innovate or find,
Mm-hmm.
and just really nail. That's why they're focusing so much on these weird things, right? With the controllers right now, like the temperature and whatnot. Because people are like, man, there's something else that we can do here, right? I just hope that they can apply that mentality to the portability and convenience of like, man, I want to take a controller with me and my deck so I can like use a controller, but I'm not going to put a controller with all these bags, right? It's just like going to break it or something, right?
Right.
So it's just like, yeah, you know?
And you actually want to know something funny?
Yeah, what's that?
It's funny you bring up AirPods and everything. I have never bought a pair at all.
You don't have them?
Oh no, because it's like all I could think to myself was I was just so pissed because when I bought my iPhone XR, like I couldn't use like my older lightning cable headphones, like that prong, that insert, because it was in the exact same spot where I had to charge my phone with. And then so
Oh, yeah.
I just held a grudge against Apple for years for basically trying to force me to buy AirPods. And
Oh,
so
my God.
right now, in probably the past year or two, I have to buy maybe my fifth or sixth pair of wired lightning headphones because the cord shorted out or it got torn up. And so now I'm thinking it's time to join the 21st century. I could get with AirPods. Like, I mean, so much stuff is being made nowadays that it's not without reason. I mean, it's just to make life easier. And I mean, I can accept that in most cases now.
Yeah, it really is worth the leap, man. I'm telling you. Once I got my AirPods, I was like, I'm not going back. And I use like Jaybirds. I use other brands of these truly wireless, but even then, man, there's like these have like noise canceling. They just sound so good. Once you make that leap, you'll love it. But yeah, you won't be able to connect to your PS4 or anything like that. I mean, you can connect to your Steam Deck or your Switch, just not PlayStation. I mean, we all know the Portal. You have to have their PlayStation branded earbuds to use a headset with those. With
Mm.
that,
Though, man, I mean,
yep.
I guess I mean, I'll definitely have to save up for some, but yeah, give AirPods a shot. I mean,
Yeah, we just turned this into advertising for AirPods.
hey, we advertise Steam Deck, we advertise AirPods. I mean, heck, we advertise media just by word of
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah. I mean, even talking about like, man, we could say AirPods suck. People are saying the word AirPods, advertising for them in one way. We're sharing exposure for them.
Bringing it back to games, there's certainly a game out there that I think word of mouth did more than enough to supply the amount of acclaim this game is getting now. And I've still yet to play it. Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, yes, sir. Baldur's Gate 3, the real-time strategy megasphere of a game that I can't even imagine cracking open within the next 2 years.
I mean, and it's unbelievable. I mean, if from what I've read in the headlines is right, I mean, it's already won every major Game of the Year award.
That's got to be a first for this genre, right?
Most
For this kind of game.
Most definitely. And it was like its entire sweep, it was secured by BAFTA, if I'm not mistaken, the British Academy Game Awards.
Wow.
I still can't bring myself to play it. I mean, not just because of the price. And to be fair, it's on sale right now from what I've seen. But it just only takes off maybe $5 on the Xbox store if I saw that right.
It really doesn't. It really does seem to be suffering from never getting discounts. That a whole premium, game kind of, just like Breath of the Wild and just like Metroid. It's joined those games and be in that elite tier. Because I swear this game really seemed like one of those games that for sure I would be at least once 50% off, but every time it's like $5 or $2, even 10%. But hey, if you really want to play it, then there's a discount. I mean, for the RPG lovers out there, I mean, you got to take what you can get, right?
My only worry is that, and this is like my worry with everything, it's like whenever I hear someone praise such a great thing, it'll literally take me maybe years to watch it or experience it completely. I did the same
Mhm.
thing with Squid Game when it came out. I held out for months because of everyone talking about how great it was. I did the same thing with, gosh, what was it called? The Adams Family spinoff, of Jenna Ortega. And I'm sorry, everyone, for forgetting the name of it.
Wednesday. It's just called Wednesday.
Wednesday. And I mean, I still haven't even finished that yet. So, I mean, Baldur's Gate 3, it's that price barrier. It's the fact there's no physical copy. It's this all around praise that's making me wait for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, what else do we have? Jack Reacher. I mean, Reacher, Jack Reacher, Invincible.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm thinking of you. That was pretty big once upon a time.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
a friend telling me about they're bringing it back for like one final season. We were talking about last week how the boys is going to get like two more seasons.
Hmm.
After this fourth one's going to get a final one, which we all love. I don't know if you guys like anime at all. I don't, but for some reason, one character design has really come to me, just slapped me in the face, and I couldn't find it, but I finally did. And I'm going to announce it here first. It's called Kaiju Number 8. And I don't know if you guys like kaijus and giant dinosaurs, but I'm going to try and watch this as soon as I can just for the designs. And I had to throw that out there. I mean, how many times can you say that something pulled you in because of the designs? Like the way the character looks. I know a lot about Berserk, and I never even actually watched Berserk, but I just like how the main character Guts looks. I know little things here and there, but animes, I know that I got to watch it. But I mean, Netflix, I don't even have a Netflix account anymore. And Wednesday, my mom was watching that with my brother. I saw parts of it. It just seemed kind of, forgive me, I don't want to be like dissing it, but it just felt kind of like for children, not a bad way, but I just wasn't in the. I feel like there'd be a certain energy where I'll be into it, but it just wasn't then. Kind of like there was another show in there about ghosts. It was like a ghost hunters, but they were teenagers,
Hmm.
and it was pretty good. But I just, it's too many shows.
Yeah. And the hype, it really riles up your expectations.
Yeah, right. For what? For Fallout?
Oh, well, anything really. I mean,
Yeah. So,
Fallout, like, I think the praise is there.
did you think that Squid Game was worth the hype after you finally caved and saw it? I haven't seen it yet, or I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's like imagine the societal message of Parasite mixed in with something like Saw or even like the David Fincher film.
Oh wow, it definitely makes it sound very intriguing. I love when fusion, like mixing together like two different films. I love that. I, I, um, I don't know if I'm gonna get to watching it right now just because it just seemed pretty strong. I
Hmm.
know that there's like a lot of death. And
Like a lot of
I'm just like,
violence.
yeah, yeah, a lot of violence, and I love violence, much as but right now I'm in a mood for like fun violence. Not like making me think a little or making me suspense, but it does make me think about there's this film with MGK that recently it was like a couple years in Kevin Bacon's in it, and I haven't seen it, but the description made me laugh. It was like uh what's that movie called, the one with Gene Hackman, the train movie?
Um, Gene Hackman.
It's called like The Report something, not The Minority, something
Oh,
report, something like.
was it The Conversation?
Yes, the conversation is like the conversation meets uh Good Time with Robert Pattinson,
Oh yeah.
and I just thought that was really silly because the film obviously was one of those films that's really bad. It like, doesn't even have like a rating,
Hmm.
you know. And I always find this project interesting because they have these, obviously have these big names attached, but no one knows about this film and it's obviously terrible, but it still has Kevin Bacon in it, and I
Hmm.
guess MGK and Storm Reed,
Yeah.
and honestly, I do feel like I think it's funny, and like these kind of movies, they come and go. I might watch it. Sometimes those are the kind of movies that you got to watch.
Hmm.
There's really, really for real. Like there's one super vague. I'll throw it your way, Boyce. You might be interested. It's
Hmm.
got somebody I'm a pretty big fan of. He's
Ooh.
still around, thankfully, and we still don't have Splinter Cell remake. But my man Michael Ironsides,
Oh
yes,
yeah.
him. He did a film. It's kind of like a spoof. A spoof. It was like a DVD, direct to DVD version of Mad Max. I forgot the name of it, but if you just Google Michael Ironside Mad Max clone, you probably find it. But yeah, man, don't you just love when you find those kind of like super random things, boys?
Oh yeah. Especially like when there's like a character actor that you're just a big fan of and you find them in this wildly different role.
Yes, yes, and I haven't seen a lot of Michael Ironside's roles, but who doesn't love Splinter Cell? That's all that you really need, right?
Honestly, the people who don't love Splinter Cell, I don't think they've ever played it or they just gave up so soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to give it another chance, man. There's something wrong with you. Get help. Yeah.
Though, gosh, I mean, when you speak about like tone cleansers in terms of like media consumption, I feel like I definitely do for that as well. I mean, I meant to take it months ago, just because I mean, like, to be honest with you, like, I watch
Mhm.
almost everything I watch play or something like that. Like, it's always dark, it's always chilling, it's always suspenseful and whatnot. And it's just
Mhm.
hard for me to break away from that because I just love, like, contemplating what I'm watching, thinking about it. Like,
Mhm.
like thinking of like how this would affect society or even me as a person. And
Mhm.
the last two movies I saw in theaters this past week were I saw a re-release for The Dark Knight.
Wow, they have that out in theaters again?
Oh yeah.
No way. You're serious. Where?
Gosh, I know that Regal had it for 2 days on Wednesday and Thursday. And then I know
What
Flash.
the shit? God damn it, boys. I should have known this, man. I've never seen The Dark Knight in theaters, man.
You still might have your chance. Like, they have, I know some theaters do flashback cinema, and they're going to be doing that on, I know, the 17th of April and the 14th as well, from what I remember here. Oh, actually, yeah, the 14th. I mean,
Christ almighty, man, I got to
and it won't be an IMAX screening, but it'll be a screening, and it's just a whole different vibe seeing it on the big screen.
Oh yeah, I imagine it's definitely got to be different from using a MetaQuest headset.
Yeah.
You can only have one of those on your head for so long, man.
Gosh. And then the second one I saw, and I've been clamoring on about it for a month. It's like the A24 film I've been so hyped for, Civil War.
That's an A24 film?
Mm-hmm.
Is it already out?
Oh yeah, it dropped the other night.
Man, I would go with you, man. And Eric, dude, I would go if I was there. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely one of those movies that I feel like you look both ways when you're going home after you watch it, or you're just careful afterwards.
Oh, for sure.
You're just like, man, the energy that this movie's going to create in this theater.
And that energy,
close to home.
That energy was definitely there. I mean, there was definitely, like, I mean, the shootout scenes are immaculate. I mean, they're so similar to what you would expect from a Michael Mann film.
Really? I was not expecting that at all. So our leading gal, Kirsten Dunst, gets some shots in.
Oh gosh, man, like she definitely she's a part of those action sequences, and it's like the intensity of the film. It's unbelievable.
Am I assuming correctly? We got ourselves a little what's the word here? Far Cry 3 kind of story, kind of becoming a warrior. Like it's like I'm just a innocent, and then she's forced to. Don't spoil it.
I
love those stories.
I'll just say it won't be what you expect, and it may leave you frustrated in some parts, but gosh, it's just so unforgettable.
All right, man. I'll keep this in mind, man. I might have to wait till I'll come by around, man. I don't think this kind of movie I can watch alone. That kind of suspense. I need someone to turn to, man. I need support. Yeah. I need support for these kind of films.
Man, and it's like, I mean, it's almost like it's like an art film that you would expect to have watched in film class. It's like some of those niche films that they would show you that you'd never heard of before.
Right, they trick you into it, and when you're in the theater.
Yeah,
I love that. I appreciate films like that too, man. Sometimes that's what you need, especially with these kind of topics. You can't really take them lightly.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, and after that, would you say that there's a special question you've brought for tonight?
Yes, there is actually, and it came to me when I was watching Fallout, and it's a question I'm going to pose to you guys. When I was come across the scene, did you finish Fallout?
Oh no, I still haven't. I've just got 5 episodes left.
Man, I don't know if I could spoil this thing. It's not a huge spoiler. It's a spoiler, but it's more like an Easter egg kind of spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the question. Have you seen something in a game or something that just was really something that you appreciate? And I guess I'm not spoiling much, but you will see a New Vegas armor set on somebody, and it's very cool because it's kind of like a Star Wars kind of thing where he's using this, like he's in a bomber and he's got the New Vegas Ranger helmet, and he's like scavenging. They're like in a desert. They're just doing like typical work, but it was really cool because they're using this New Vegas gear and they're playing the New Vegas theme song, man. They were playing Fallout New Vegas theme. They do, you know what I'm talking about? The do 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 do.
Oh yeah.
And they showed an NCR flag, dude, and it was so dope when they showed that. And I was like, they're mentioning all the games, and I was just like, that's so cool. It's gotta be the coolest Easter egg I've ever seen, because that's like specifically for me. I love New Vegas, and the NCR armor is like the coolest design ever, in my opinion. But yeah, that was my question for you.
Gosh, like it's such a love letter to the fans, the show, just based on what I've seen so far. And it's like I really appreciate the fact that they like still retain like that classic music, like the ink spots specifically.
Yes.
I don't want to set the world on fire, and that was playing in the intro of Fallout 3 from what I remember.
Yeah, and it sounds even like the Fallout 4 music too. Like I feel like I've heard that a lot. But yeah, that's got to be like the most impressive Easter egg that I've seen related to a game, you know.
Mm.
And I mean, Wreck-It Ralph was fantastic, but this to me was just, you know, on a whole other level.
And like so many games forgo Easter eggs, and it's just like whenever you notice them, like you just really feel seen as a fan. Like in so many adaptations, like I mean, I still haven't watched Halo on Paramount yet, and I probably never will. But I mean, when they do, it's like such a flagship action, such as just make the chief go maskless or make him go bear and do things you would never expect Chief from the games to do. I mean, that's not giving fans the most reassured faith, and especially when they say that they never played the games. The writers,
that's showing that you disrespected, you know. So many times I like to be optimistic, right? Witcher, I'm talking about Witcher season 2. I'm like, this can't be. This first season was so good. It was so praised, right?
Yeah,
it's different, but it's not too different, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it really is like, man, when a writer says something, they're telling you the truth. If they don't read the source material, they don't read it. They don't care about it. They don't have time for it. They're going to do what they want. This is their story now, and that's what happened. Zack Snyder, you can say the same thing. You might love it, you might hate it. Look, it's the same thing here with what we're talking about. You know, you can do what you want. It's fine. The fans will speak for you, and they'll take it away. You might have groups that support you so much that you get a special cut, but your time with that, you know, IP, you know, it's over because you wanted to experiment with something that people love. And you really can't do it that much because then it's not that. Then it's what am I even here for? Why am I watching Fallout? This isn't Fallout. Fallout is a very specific vibe. If it's not satirical, then it's not Fallout. If the next GTA doesn't have satire, it's not GTA. It failed. So, you know, that's just for those people. And I sound angry and I brought another vibe, but I just think about that a lot and how, you know, we have these stories, you know, when, you know, things go off because some person has things done one way. And it's like, we got to remember that it's not like you can have inklings of it. You can have flavors of it, but you can't be your thing. Batman isn't Matt Reeves' thing. No matter what's said, Batman is Batman. Batman is loved by many people, you know? So we only allow it because it continues to stay true, right? To the story, to being good, to being that, right?
Yeah.
And that just goes back to what you're saying, boys.
And geez, though, and then it's like, if you can find, I mean, even then just playing a game isn't really a prerequisite at times. I mean, in some cases, I mean, just so long as you can understand the material you're given, just really like, so long as you can feel the soul of it. And that's another crime that Zack Snyder committed when he did Watchmen.
Yeah, and I don't even remember Watchmen. I know there's some messed up parts of it, but that movie already failed for being too boring and too long. As soon as I think this movie's boring and long, you fail. That should be like the last things I'm thinking. If the movie's too long, too boring, you should have cut things out that didn't need to be there, but you needed it in there for people to see. But they didn't need to see it. It was too long. You know, Batman was on that level for me. The Batman was. It was a good film, but it's not great. I'm not going to rewatch it 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could say the same about Begins, right? But, you know, Begins was much better, I think. I think that it's just a matter of that was my first as opposed to the Batman, which just for some kids that might be there, Batman Begins. But for me, it was Batman Begins. But also it goes to saying, like, yeah, it's just so many simple little things that just, like, Halo could have been Hollywood. I don't think, man, I'm trying to think of a show where they don't give a fuck about the main actor. Like, he's there, but he's not like, man, we need to show his face, right?
Man, like
that was like the least. Go ahead.
Oh, like Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, he was a nobody. Yeah, he was a nobody before that, to an extent. I didn't really know Pascal. He had a role, but he wasn't like Pedro Pascal. Holy shit, right? He's like a new Robert Downey Jr.
Like, he was just that guy.
Yeah, he was just that guy, right? And like Master Chief is just a dude, right? I don't know why they insisted from the beginning. They gave him this RDJ treatment. We need to show off. Oh my god, we have already like some dude. I don't know this actor Pablo. Like, he's the actor. He's the brother of Sabretooth, Liev Schreiber.
Mm-hmm.
Look, he's a good actor. It's fine. It's whatever. You don't need to show like that was the one thing that you didn't need it. Like, it was taken care of for you. Hey, Master Chief doesn't need to have that much of a personality. His personality is him killing and being badass. That's what makes him so cool. You made him talk a lot and like have feelings and have sex. And I don't know, just all these things that, you know, I didn't really care for it. I thought it was interesting. I'm not a Halo guy. I play Halo, but I'm not like invested. I know that there's a lore there, but a lot of that's connected to the lore, the environment, the species, the aliens, the cool ones, right? And all like the flood, all this cool, that stuff that's cool. Not this random kid, right? I did watch the first season or most of it, I think. The action was fantastic. One thing that I can say from like the really good action scenes, like the Banshee, those were like straight out of the game. They got that right. They needed more of that, and honestly, just get rid of all this other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's cool and it's fun and honest to what Halo is, which is, you know, better defined by somebody else, not me, because I'm not Halo super. Halo's fun. If I'm watching Halo and I'm getting bored, you did something wrong. Yeah. I'm like, what is this? You know?
Like, all my general knowledge of Halo just comes from playing the first 3 games. And that was it for me. And it's like, Halo, it's such an epic thing that, I mean, of course, I think they made I don't want to say the right decision, but I mean, they made a decision when they decided to make it a TV show instead, you know, like make room for like that ensemble of characters. But I also think it could have worked as a movie trilogy as well, because I mean, when I was playing through it, I thought to myself, this gives me the vibes, like the cinematic language of something like The Matrix, like that serial storyline. And
literally the music is like an opera, like Lord of the Rings is what I think of. When I think of like a space opera, I think of like space Lord of the Rings. I think of Halo.
And it's just so epic in every sense of the words. I mean, it's something that someone like Ridley Scott should have helmed.
Man, when you say that, it makes me upset because it really does feel like a missed opportunity. Why wasn't Halo a movie? I feel like that would have been huge as a film, not a TV show. And not like, it's like honestly, I hate to say, but it's like, it feels like a very high quality NCIS, basically, sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, come on, man. That suit is so cool. That armor is really cool. And if you're going to do a show, at least have explosive episodes. I heard the second season is better than the first, but not great by any means. And, you know, you got these awesome budget and these cool suits, you know, and I don't know if it's really is because they can only really have a couple big action scenes a season, but it should be like 80% action and 20%. Like, it should be like the games, like 20% talking and 80% of your time is spent shooting shit and crushing grunts, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like all that blue blood and just, you know, Actually, no, I feel bad for those girls.
Oh,
They have like
like
messed up lore.
when those little guys just take off running.
Yeah, and then you hit them and they squash like bugs with blue blood and they scream, but it's like a funny scream. They're like ah, and oh man, Halo, man, it's just I wonder how the future of Halo, Halo 4 or Halo 6, that's what it's gonna be, or Halo 7, right? Halo Infinite 2. Let's go.
It's like I'm gonna say something that Pedro Pascal's character had said in Wonder Woman 1984 that became a meme.
What's it?
Life is good, but it can be better.
Life is good, but it can be better. Absolutely.
I mean,
Life. What?
it's like if any adaptation isn't always good, at least we always have the source material.
Yeah, you can always go back to the game.
It's all in the game.
Exactly. Honestly, ODST was what a missed opportunity. For if you want a show for Halo, give it to ODST, man. Give Master Chief the movie. Give these guys a show. I would watch a show about it. Are you kidding me, dude? You got all these like nobodies that have to fight next to fucking super mutant like Wolverine and this green armor.
Yeah, like
Master Chief.
you're just bunching it all together into one without like spreading it out and just like letting it grow all on its own.
Yeah, dude, they could easily have had a Halo universe, but they started with like their main thing and their main dude. They called it Halo. Like, yeah, man, they're gonna have to call the sequel, like the reboot, inevitable reboot, the Halo. They're just gonna slap a the on the beginning, and we'll call it the Batman, the Amazing Spider-Man.
I'm hoping
Oh,
that
God.
essentially in the future, somewhere down the line, I mean, media right now is bigger than it's ever been. And I really hope that, I mean, maybe like the current filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers, writers, game developers, like they take note of everything and, you know, they're fans. And that hopefully they can elevate a previously adapted material into something greater than what it turned out to be. And I feel like that could happen.
That's what we're here for. It's up to you. You'll be the one to do it, boys. Yeah.
Honestly, if I were to put out a good Hitman Agent 47 movie, then heck, I'd put all my energy into that.
Hell yeah, dude. They obviously want to. They keep making one.
But hey, one of them paid for Timothy Oliphant's house.
Yeah, I did. And you know what? We have now. I don't know if that led to him being, comp Vance, but I'm grateful because he did a fantastic job in Mandalorian
Oh yeah, and
and
he's
also the Cannibal Show with Drew Barrymore. I loved that show, and they canceled it. Santa Clarita Diet, fantastic.
he's even gonna be in Noah Hawley's Alien series up for Hulu.
Alias or Alien?
Oh, Alien.
Alien? Oh wow, I gotta check that out, man. I gotta check it. I know they have Bray on there. I still haven't seen Bray, but it looks like Hulu's got one of the monster universes.
Oh yeah, I mean, imagine back then hearing that Alien, Predator, and gosh, Planet of the Apes would be under Disney's umbrella.
That would no. I mean, that new planet, that new apes looks great though. It looks pretty good. I didn't see the last one.
Oh, the last one was great. I mean, that's pretty much what gave me faith in Matt Reeves making Batman.
I was just interested. I was like, oh, he made an apes movie. Interesting. But I'm like, I didn't use that because I'm like, I don't know. You can kind of, I guess you can see them. Because I haven't seen it, but the comparisons. But
Oh,
I feel like usually when films are really different, even if they're made by the same director, I struggle more. This really does feel like a new film. Yeah.
and it's like I'm definitely cautiously optimistic about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's from the same guy who directed the Maze Runner films, and I haven't seen those, so I can't really judge. But just the fact that it's under Disney's umbrella, and I know it won't be like Dawn or
Yeah.
War for the Planet of the Apes, but at least kind of carries over some of that influence, like that cinematic love language.
Yeah, and you know, say what you will, man. I heard about Deadpool 3. It's still just as much rated R. So that's a good thing. At least Disney knows they got one thing that they got to make sure delivers with that.
Mm. Oh yeah, I mean Kevin Feige even dropped like I don't know how many f bombs at CinemaCon when he was presenting Deadpool 3 footage.
Wow, man, I can't wait to see that movie, man. That might be, I don't know, No Way Home levels of height, but I don't know, man, because I haven't heard a lot about the secrets that they're having with this film, man. Because Hugh Jackman, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting the feeling that this is his last. They haven't made that like a thing with, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure like Logan was like that, right? He's like, this is my last X-Men. I'm done. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm in Wolverine. I'm Wolverine, and it's just like, okay, yeah.
Because
Unless Daniel.
like the real selling pitch was just being able to share the screen with Ryan Reynolds.
That makes me feel like he's really not. He just like I don't know if it's bad, but it's like I don't know, man. This guy's just gonna say anything. I don't really know what to trust with what he says, man.
Yeah, they're all actors.
Yeah, dude. He's as long as that check's big enough, he'll come. But I really do hope that I don't know if you've seen like some footage where some dude looks like Daniel Radcliffe, and that dude's always like jacked for no reason, and I really like him, and he's short, and I'm like, man, he would be a good Logan. I would be very interested to see him as Logan.
I feel like they'll probably pull the same trick they did with John Krasinski being in Doctor Strange, like bring Daniel Radcliffe into Deadpool 3.
Oh my god, I would be pretty livid. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty I've come around to it because I do feel like I just get like kind of fatigued, but Pedro really hasn't been in that many. He's just so new, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's in all these new movies, but he really, if you look at his actual like credits, he's only done what? Like he's done Wonder Woman, Last of Us, and Mandalorian. These are all fantastic, right? Also, what's it called, Narcos?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you compare him to like another actor, like Tom Cruise is Mr. Fantastic. That would be weird, right? That's a bad example, right? But like some other actor getting a role,
mm-hmm.
and none of us would be saying anything, right? Like, oh, Iron Man. And he's in like 800 movies, man. So let's give our boy Pedro a chance, right?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, it's funny you say that because Cruise was in consideration for Iron Man, but he just didn't like the script at the time.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they didn't go with him. Yeah. But also, I know that there was talks of him being a cameo in Marvels or Iron Man or one of the new ones, Infinity or Endgame, but he wasn't. And also, I thought that would have been funny, but also, yeah. But I do feel like John Krasinski was in talks, man. I do think that he was actually supposed to be a Mr. Fantastic, because a lot of the rumors around the same time, and I don't know if this actress is just really wanted to play superheroes because she almost became Catwoman too, but the one that became Miss Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby, she was already, her and John Krasinski are already like in talks. So I have a feeling that because he's a director, and also it's just like being a superhero. Also, I think that I'm pretty sure Emily Blunt was really heavily in talks for Invisible Woman. So once she was like, no, then he was like, I'm done. But he's like the only one that kind of sticks out as the unique casting, right? Because everyone else looks like the ones from the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it still is. I mean, it looks really interesting, and I love I love the. I mean, all these things were true then, and they're true now. I don't know who said these things, man. I swear it's some random like super fan that has no knowledge. He's just super insightful. But it's like a time traveling, the Jetsons kind of energy that I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously from like the '60s and those jumpsuits. You know, it just looks like it's going to be fun. And it's maybe, you know what, for some reason, I don't know why, man. I was like, I want to watch Guardians. No, it's because I have Parks, man. It's because of Parks. I just see Andy there. I'm like, man, I want to go watch Star-Lord. I want to go watch Guardians. That's a great film, dude. That really is a fantastic, man. It's going to be a treat because I haven't seen it in so long.
You know, that was the first MCU movie I ever saw in theaters.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, that was probably the movie that like ignited my enthusiasm for going to the movies.
That is fantastic. I had no idea, man. What made you just didn't care? Like superhero type stuff? Because like Iron Man 1, that was my first.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I thought because 2012, I think, was the year I really started paying attention to movies. And you had so much out that year, like Skyfall, The Dark Knight Rises, Avengers, Amazing Spider-Man. And like, I've tried comparing them so much. Like I literally said that Dark Knight Rises was better than Avengers that year. And
I did too, I'm pretty sure.
And then like as I'm older and rewatching, like I mean, knowing about Joss Whedon, what we all know about Joss Whedon now, I mean, my opinions on Avengers has softened quite a bit. And I could still appreciate the nuances that the actors brought to the game. And Infinity War is probably my favorite Avengers film, though, overall. And I just didn't really feel like I was a part of like that superhero hype train, like the cinematic shared universe. But Guardians changed that. It was new, it was fresh, it was exciting. And little did I even know or figure at the time that would have become the template for several other MCU films, like the first Ant-Man, for instance.
Yeah. It's like with the first Sandman.
Oh yeah, like that whole comedic vibe, like you have that fresh, likable character that was so like didn't get much
I think
exposure.
you said Sandman, like Spider-Man. I was like the Sandman. Yeah, Ant-Man 1. That's like a Judd Apatow MCU film, basically. I like to think of it.
And still, the Fool still did not let Edgar Wright do his thing.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. But really, Guardians really was like that, done correctly. Of let me just have this, or they're all run of the mill now, which is sad because that film was allowed that creative freedom, and it's like instead it was like, oh, we have a formula and it works and it's enjoyable, but it could be better. Spidey, the films are always given flack for that, but I think it's pretty valid. But it's also like, it's disheartening because there very clearly is a specific flavor. They're going for the high school, early coming of age comedy film, right? And it's so obvious with its first two films. Really the first one, but like it just goes to show you, like, being a part of this franchise, it can have this effect, and it's hard because it's like you want to have a unique and like a tone, but it's like it has to be consistent or else it doesn't make sense within the universe. I never understand that. I think it's just fascinating to see different universes coming together. I think in the end, I do think that it is dangerous because it becomes like, okay, now we're using a lot of these textbook. Oh, we got to get the what's it called? What's it called? The thing to the thing.
Oh, the Tesseract.
Like, yeah, like we got to get the Tesseract, but you know what I mean. The movie version of that, like, just like we got to get the Nancy box. We have to get this thing that's central to the plot that gives us a reason that propels us to move forward, right? And let's just call it the Tesseract here. We need to get the Tesseract to here, and we're going to save the world, right? It's very much like that typical and they beat by beat, because that's just like you need that structure, but at the same time, it's just like can be very much like it can bore. It can be boring. It can be crutchy. Like everything's explained by the multiverse. Like the multiverse this and like I don't need to get caught up in explanations, man. I'm just excited to the idea of seeing Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's like
that
20 years too late.
Yeah, but like if that could still happen, I would be happy. I know other people would be happy. I don't need to get caught up in explanations. I think No Way Home did a great job of, we're gonna have explanations, but we're not gonna dwell too much on that. We know you guys just want to see all the Spideys together, and we're even gonna have Andrew save Zendaya to give you guys some kind of closure there because we know you need it and we love you. And here you go, and they do it, and they do a good job. And honestly, I don't hate the multiverse. I think it can be implemented into the DC with the Batman and Superman in that new logo, which looks pretty dope. I might say, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matches Batman's, but I don't think that's trying to, which is really good in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like it's just trying to bring out the most definitive version of the character for a modern audience.
It looks clean. It looks sharp. It looks like Superman. It doesn't look bedazzled. I saw, on Instagram, I follow a lot of those accounts that have like the outfits and stuff, just that my nerdy stuff. But man, this Superman lows. I'm not gonna lie, the Snyder one, and I don't hate Zack Snyder. I like Zack Snyder. I know those things I said earlier make it sound. I was just saying my thoughts. But man, that logo is dripped out, man. It just looks royal. I was saying to you, but man, those Superman logos are really cool too. And I don't really usually pay attention to Superman, but I liked them, And I haven't really had an issue with any of the Batman ones. If people really hate the bat symbol, I didn't hate it. It wasn't my favorite. I thought it was cool, but I can understand the people being like, "That's not the bat symbol." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I thought the new one was really cool too. It looks like a knife that you like can take out. That thing was dope. Maybe I will watch the Batman again, man. I don't know. You think I should, Boyce?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's cinema. And I mean, that is 3 hours of Robert Pattinson's Batman that you have to wait till 2025 just to see it. Or wait, was it 2026 that they delayed it to?
26.
Yeah.
That's why I brought up that other stuff about I'm curious where they're going to take this, man. Because I've had about enough Batman casting announcements, man. We need to stick to one guy and move forward, Penguin's TV show is coming out, next year?
Oh, this fall.
Or this month. Yeah, dude. Don't be stupid, guys. Tell me that it's all a lie and we finally have a universe. Because let's be honest here. Marvel got it right. All you have to do is copy what early Marvel did, and you got yourself a winning recipe. Let's be real here.
I love that Matt Reeves, he's like, not only is he helping make Penguin or oversee his own Batman universe, he's also doing DCU stuff like an Arkham Asylum series.
That's what I'm saying, man. I'm saying there's got to be something here, and then when everything's finally out in the real world and we know the truth, I want to be like, I told you, it was all in our face. Or maybe I won't, and Timothée Chalamet is going to be cast as our new Bruce Wayne, and I don't know anything about the world.
Gosh, that is a world I would definitely question if that came to fruition.
Yeah. He's a great actor, but maybe a little older, and maybe just take some steroids, man. It's okay. It's Batman. He has to look inhumanly jacked.
The Alan Ritchson casting, it's I can see why people would want him as Batman, but I just don't see it.
I'm with you. I don't see it either. People are just like, he's super jacked, and this show's super popular right now. It's honestly, that's how it is most of the time. It's like whatever show's like really popping, that's the actor that's going to get the most attention. But is it the best choice? No, I do not think so. I don't even know if Alan thinks so. He might, but sorry, man. Your time has passed. It's Ben Affleck again, and I don't think they're going to make that mistake, twice. You You can't RDJ with it. You got to get someone who can physically commit to doing this for a long time. I know you're in great shape, man, but let's be real here. Batista just said the other day, I can't do this shit anymore, man. I can't be right. I'm going to start getting fat and shit, man. And that's okay. You know, at this point, you know, your body's going to start turning against you, and that's okay, man. You know, you've earned it. You did a great job. I love you in Titan. You know, Hawk. I mean, I don't know who the fuck. Do you know who Hawk is, Boyce? I don't know who Hawk is.
Was it Minka Kelly?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Is like this. He turned this nobody character into like I gave a shit about these characters. And Minka Kelly, she did a fantastic job as Hawk and Dove. If they made a show, I think they were talking about a spinoff at 1.2. But obviously, I mean, that show's over now. I would watch that because they did a great job. That show was really good, and then they got weird, like but it was good in the beginning. He's a great actor. I saw all the first season of Reacher. You should watch it.
Oh yeah,
you like a lot, Boyce.
Oh yeah, I wrote the review on it.
Yeah, man, it's like ultimate dad energy show that you need in your life. You know, we need some justice, and we need dads to deliver. I know he's not a dad, but you know,
yeah,
comfort. It's a dad show, so you're like dad's delivering justice.
And he did much better than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I think that Tom Cruise agrees with you there too, man. Yeah.
Like,
I don't think he would disagree.
He
failed on.
When Cruise played it, it just felt like he was playing a typical Tom Cruise character.
He already played it wrong by playing it at his height. You know, he's like, man, first I need to grow a couple feet, and then I can, you know, it's like he already was like an antithesis of the description of Jack Reacher. It's like not an antithesis. That's really extreme. I don't hate him either, unless you know terrible things come out about Cruise later. But that's another conversation. But yeah, he's like in the book. He's like 6'3", 280 pounds, pure muscle, and you know Tom Cruise is a nice guy. He's in great shape, but you know he's not tall. Yeah. You know, and you know we'll see where Scientology says about him at non-climbing in a couple years. Yeah, man. I mean, hey, I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie, so
seriously.
Yeah, and I know that's bad because that's like the theme song's like in everyone's brain. Do. Yeah, you already know what I'm trying to do, right?
Oh yeah.
Do. You know,
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I still haven't seen a single mission. I don't know if I'm trying to go for the life's version of the PlayStation Achievement, man, but I'm trying to get that never seen Fast and Furious or Mission Impossible tag, I guess, man. I guess that's what I'm going for.
Mission Impossible is definitely worth the watch.
I know. I keep hearing this a lot, and honestly, I'm like, I don't know what's holding me back, but I got to because there's definitely one that I can stream because there's like how many? I'm guessing the same amount as Fast.
Oh, there's 10 of them. 7 of them right now, and the 8th one is being shot as we speak.
Is this the final one?
Likely not. I mean, it could be, but Cruise says that he intends to go on as far as he can with it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, power to him. I would become a fan, and I would start watching them if I start hearing about Tom Cruise, you know, 66 years old, trying to, you know, jump off a train or jump off a bridge on a train on a moving train on a bridge, you know. That would be, I would pay a lot of money to see that.
I highly recommend you give them a watch because it's like Uncharted meets James Bond.
That is really perfect description, man. Look at you, Boyce. You just come up with these descriptions that I've never heard of, but it's like immediately I'm thinking about how he jumps all the time. I always see him jumping and climbing on stuff. Just like Nathan. Yeah, dude, that's so great.
But gosh, you've given me a lot to think about and definitely a lot to talk about. It's been a real time.
It has, Boyce. It's always a pleasure talking to you, man. Yeah, you know, I can't wait to update you on more of what I've played and just like what you know, what's happening with Fallout, man. We gotta talk about this stuff.
Oh, you betcha. And,
yes, sir.
Yep, in that same real time, that goes for everyone else listening right now.
It's a real time podcast. Thank you guys. And we love you. We hope you stay safe out here in these trying times. Hide your kids, hide your wife. Because they'd be out here making us all pay taxes. And I'm sure that we did this a service. Definitely. There's some moments here and there where I was a little, struggling with my technology as usual. Boyce, I am working towards getting a new laptop soon, so my phone won't be working against me as much. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh, it would take them the same amount of time for me to explain the amount of time that it took for me just to get a handle on this recording thing.
We got it now, though, man. Now I'm just the one. Once I finally get my laptop, I'll learn how to manage the OBS, the sound stuff. But I just want to say thank you guys for listening.
Thank you as well, and thank you all.
Yes, this is
and this is
cut. Yeah.